Now, please welcome our next speaker, Professor of Criminal Justice from Greenspun College of Urban Affairs, Dr. Emily Salisbury.
Hey, everyone. So one of the cool things about your generation is that you're fearless. You're fearless, and you want to have a positive impact on your community. You guys want to roll up your sleeves and really make a contribution. I'm here to tell you today that you came to the right place, and to show you that we can be fearless and have an impact together. Our criminal justice system has been getting a lot of attention lately, and I know all of you have been a part of the conversation. But with all that attention come a lot of misperceptions and assumptions about what's really going on. Like, I bet most of you would probably be pretty surprised to learn that crime is at an all-time low in this country. We're the safest society we've been in a generation. This is not just an American trend, this is actually a global trend. But all of us in the room hopefully know that we're at a crossroads in our criminal justice system, and really in our country. But not all of us know what to do about it. I'm asking you, inviting you to care. To care enough about the complexities surrounding race, poverty, and crime. To dig deeper. To consider where your own implicit, unconscious biases are hidden, because we all have them, even me. The only way to unlock these biases is to start admitting that we all have them, and to start listening to people who don't look like us, who don't speak like us, and who don't live like us. This is something that you can definitely do right here at UNLV. You can absolutely expose yourself to new ideas and new ways of thinking and new people. Believe it or not, college is not just about getting good grades. It's about learning how to become the kind of person that you want to be. And you will come to find that when an idea inspires you and you have the courage to reflect on it, enthusiasm for learning, wisdom from having overcome your own adversities, all along the way allowing for time and patience to develop while actively engaging on campus and in that idea, you will be on your way to creating solutions for our community. For me personally, going into prisons and problem solving with correctional staff and offenders was not where I thought I would spend my life's work. I also didn't think I'd be constantly asked questions about how realistic Orange is the New Black really is. For those of you wondering, it's about 50% accurate, half real, half sensationalized. But hey, at least it's got us talking about the issues. Believe it or not, you can be a part of solutions right here at UNLV if you dare to care. I'll give you an example. One of my students, an undergraduate student, came to me one day and said she had a problem and a solution. At the time, she worked as a custody officer in a juvenile detention facility, and at the time, she suspected that some of the girls and a few of the boys were coming in on what we call masking charges. Even though these kids had committed crimes like theft and shoplifting, Kelly knew that something more was going on. And occasionally, some of these kids disclosed to her that they were actually being sexually trafficked, sometimes by a boyfriend, sometimes by mom or dad. Together, Kelly and I implemented an identification and diversion protocol specifically designed for sexually trafficked youth. It's still being used today throughout Washington State. This is one of the survivors that we helped get out of the life. And Kelly was a junior when she first approached me with her problem and her solution. Right now, there are currently about 1 in 100 Americans incarcerated behind bars. We have the highest incarceration rate in the world, higher than Russia, higher than China. 2.2 million Americans locked up. This is the highest incarceration rate in the world. The US holds about 5% of the world's population, but about 25% of the world's incarcerated population. If this is what the landscape of prison overcrowding and mass incarceration looks like on the inside, What does it look like on the outside? There are over 5,000 prisons and jails in this country. This now is more than the number of colleges and universities. With so many people incarcerated, we have to ask ourselves, what are the outcomes? What are the outcomes of mass incarceration and mandatory minimum sentencing guidelines and the overall war on drugs? Are these the reasons why we have the lowest crime rate in 40 years? Actually, criminologists like me pretty much agree that mass incarceration has had only a very marginal, minimal effect on the crime rate, and that it comes at a very high social and fiscal cost, that it's not cost-effective in the long run, and that instead it's actually damaging whole communities and families across the United States. With so many people incarcerated, we have to ask about the outcomes. One of the things that I wanted to mention too is that, if mass incarceration is not giving us mass reductions in crime, what is it giving us? Many of you have experienced its devastating consequences, whether you know it or not. First, mass incarceration has increased your tuition. State legislatures across the country have had to consistently defund higher education in order to accommodate the high costs of building and maintaining prisons. Every time we send a person to a prison cell, we decide not to make an investment on behalf of our students. Mass incarceration, unfortunately, has also created a new form of trauma for millions of children. 2.7 million kids right now have an incarcerated parent. 10 million children will experience parental incarceration at some point during their lifetimes. The pain, trauma, and stigma of having a parent go to prison is not just a criminal justice problem. It's a public health problem, a social work problem, a mental health problem, a communication problem. Really, it's a human problem. But just like my current doctoral student, Brianna, pictured here with her father, Scott, who was incarcerated at Nevada State Prison many years ago, you can turn your adversities into your passions and into your solutions. And finally, mass incarceration has unfortunately created massive distrust in our criminal justice system. Research shows that 1 in 36 Hispanic men are currently incarcerated. 1 in 3 Black men will go to prison at some point during his lifetime. Black men's prison sentences are 20% longer than white men's prison sentences for exactly the same crimes. And even though Black women only make up about 13% of our U.S. female population, they make up half of the U.S. female incarcerated population. All these statistics exist despite the fact that Blacks and Hispanics do not disproportionately commit more crimes or use drugs more often than whites. No wonder we're at a crossroads. But I can promise you that you don't have to be a police officer, an attorney, a judge, a social worker, or a professor to be a part of the solution. You can start being part of the solution right now. I dare you to start thinking about offenders and addicts as human beings, as people who are more than the crimes and the harms they've committed. This is not easy, I know. And trust me, I'm not saying that we shouldn't hold people accountable for their crimes. I'm just saying we should stop treating all offenders as if they're the same, as if they're all inherently evil. If we can't make distinctions between those individuals who need to remain locked up versus those who actually can become contributing members to our community with our help, then we're actually all less safe. If we can't really see these distinctions, even though there's scientific evidence supporting these differences and scientific evidence supporting the fact that people can change under the right conditions, then again, we all live in a more dangerous society. Even though mass incarceration is one of the biggest social problems facing our nation, it's precisely for this reason that this problem is not going to be solved without you. When you graduate from UNLV, No one will have to dare you to care. By then, you'll understand that you have a responsibility to care, an obligation to care. Because even though the road to a college degree isn't easy, it is a privilege. Many individuals will never have the means to be sitting where you're sitting right now and where you'll be sitting 4 years from now. So while you're here, take it seriously. Be open to trying new things, new people, new ideas. But at the very least, please dare to care. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Salisbury.